1988 was a time of transition for Dragon Ball, introducing new elements that has forever reshaped the tone of Dragon Ball. You see, since the beginning of his career, Akira Toriyama's old editor, Torishima Kazuhuki, has stepped down and departed the series. He was then replaced by Kundo Yu. You see, Kundo Yu is not your average editor. Under his direction, the Dragon Ball series has went to an entire different direction, gearing slightly away from the East Asian fantasy mythology that we have been used to heavily focusing on Dragon Ball's most identifiable characteristics: strong imposing muscular physiques, colossal explosions, a constant raising of the stakes, endless transformations, and most notably, battle powers. This crucial element has elevated Dragon Ball to be one of the most recognizable shonen animes in the early 90s, being a benchmark for all future generations to be inspired from. Love it or hate it, the power level system captivated Dragon Ball fans. As a young kid watching cartoon in the early 2000s, it was somewhat difficult to be invested in cartoons or shows that followed the same formula, villains of the week, where the heroes basically defeat underpowered baddies routinely in the exact same way, giving us the viewer a hard time to connect to these new characters and be invested in them. Dragon Ball's introduction to power levels, on the other hand, shows us the mountain a character must climb in order to defeat the enemy, inspiring us and also giving us a satisfying feeling and understanding to how a character managed to overcome another. Power levels early on were important to set the stakes, raise up the tension, and connect the viewer. It was an effective way to properly convey why someone like Vegeta could easily defeat Dodoria on Namek, but he was scared later when facing the Ginyu Force. Or in another scene when Android 18 beat Vegeta, you know that no one else there stood a chance. Power scaling was fundamental. Therefore, I'd like to create here on YouTube with you guys the definitive power scale list for every single arc, starting with the Saiyan Saga. So, to illustrate to you guys how we're going to do this, I'm going to divide this video series to several different parts where we rank who was the strongest character in each of their respective arc. However, we're only going to count characters who actually appeared or fought in some capacity. Therefore, characters who never appeared in the show like Beerus or Whis will not be counted. We will start with the Saiyan arc, starting from episode 1, The Arrival of Raditz, up to episode 39, Friends or Foes. By the way, as much as I would love to shout out the Japanese episode titles, they're just too goddamn long, so we will stick with the English ones. After that, I'll splice the Namek arc into two different parts: the Namek Saga from episode 40 to 61, The Arrival of Ginyu Force, and then from 62 to 74 until the Frieza arc. You may look at the screen and see the rest of the saga and how I splice them. In every saga, we will highlight the strongest variation of each character and see who is the winner by the end of it. I'll be making a point system by the end of the video series and we'll see who won the most points. So please make sure to give this video a like and subscribe so you can be notified with any new updates and videos. And if this video series is something you guys like, I'll be doing a GT, Super, and even the OG Dragon Ball. So without wasting any more time, let's get right to it. Now, something we should establish early on in this video is that not every character has their battle power officially stated. Therefore, we will have to use official data books, character feats, and in-universe logic to rank them. I will also take the best version of each character. As a result of that, I won't constantly mention each power-up of Goku and such. Additionally, like I mentioned, we will list characters who have either appeared or fought in some capacity. But since the pool of characters are large and diverse, I'll give you some quick hits before we go to the actual strongest characters. The turtle that lives in Kame's house with Master Roshi is officially documented to have the lowest battle power in all of the show. This is in spite of him actually knowing martial arts to an extent. However, it must be noted that his scene of protecting Krillin's ex-girlfriend, Marin, was filler. But regardless, the turtle having a power of 0001 is simply comical. We also learn by Raditz, who we will talk about soon, that the average human has the power level of 5. Although we don't see her fight in the Saiyan arc, Chi-Chi's officially recorded to have the battle power of 130, which is only 9 units shy away from Master Roshi, who is at his suppressed level, has the power level of 139. Though it is a little weird to think that Chi-Chi is that high, since the anime sometimes put her in situations where she is literally just running away from a pack of animals despite her huge level of power for a human. However, in fairness to her, she did survive so many times from Goku assaulting her by mistake. Had this been any regular human woman, she would have been dead for sure. Another notable character that must be mentioned is the God of Earth Kami. His power level is actually not high or relevant enough to make an impact in the story, only being around 220. That is because Kami is very old at this stage and is not the warrior Namekian type. He is from the Dragon Clan. Despite that, he's been told to train Goku after the King Piccolo saga and before the Budokai Tenkaichi, and we have seen him enter the tournament disguised as a regular man where he easily defeats Yamcha. Speaking of martial arts master, Korin is strong in his own way, having the power level of 190, meaning he's even stronger than a full power Master Roshi that was able to destroy the moon at the power level of 180. Gaz and Mez are filler characters from the episode where Goku falls from Snake Way, and although he doesn't really fight them, besides competing against them in order for him to escape hell, some data books suggest that they have the power level of 210. Upon besting them in a test of strength and speed, Goku finds himself back on track on Snake Way. That's when he mistakes a house for King Kai's. Since Goku wasn't told how he looks, Goku enters the castle. He is then confronted by Princess Snake. The princess is immediately infatuated by Goku and decides she wants to feed him heavily drug-induced food. But that does not affect Goku due to his Saiyan biology and high power level. When Goku tries to leave the house, he realizes he was already inside the belly of the snake. In this form, Princess Snake has been documented in the movie pamphlets to have the power level of 900, meaning she was even significantly stronger than King Piccolo from the original Dragon Ball. Upon escaping and finally reaching the planet of King Kai, Goku had to prove his worth by adjusting to the high gravity of its planet. He's been quested to catch Bubbles, the monkey that lives with King Kai, and also Gregory, the incredibly fast cricket. These two have the power level of 1000 and 1100 respectively. Okay, so now that I got some of the filler characters and characters with little impact on the Saiyan Saga, I'll start with the actual ranking list.
I'm sorry, Tien. I have to do this. Thank you for everything. You're my best friend. Always.
No, don't! Chaozu!
Chaozu is an OG character, and he's one of the forgotten Z fighters. In fact, not many remember, if at all, that Chaozu possesses a variety of psychic powers. He was a contender to be one of the strongest creatures on Earth at one point. However, DBZ really did him dirty. Not only do we not see much of his psychic powers, but after training in Kami's temple, he was the warrior with the least amount of gains, as he only mustered the power level of 610, less than even the likes of Yajirobe and Yamcha. Honestly, if there is any character that deserves better, it would be Chaozu.
He's all yours, guys!
Yajirobe is a lot stronger to what many people give him credit for. It is insane to think that this guy was one of the few selected warriors to train at Kami's temple for the attack on the Saiyans. By training for a year, Yajirobe managed to achieve the power level of 970. Crazy to think that Yajirobe is easily a multi-moon buster by this point. Although Yajirobe appears to be a coward at times, he has a somewhat conscious mind as he saved Goku by cutting Vegeta's tail. He also managed to survive the assault of an angry Vegeta. Albeit Vegeta was heavily suppressed due to the copious amount of damage he received, we must give credit that Yajirobe managed to survive. Let's not forget, the Saiyan Saga was brutal, with Nappa cutting off Tien's arm cleanly by a single hit, and also tearing through battleships like they're made out of rabbits. However, due to the lazy and coward nature of Yajirobe, it is very unlikely that we will ever see him fight again.
Don't give us that rubbish! How can we not know ourselves? I know myself better than anybody!
Oh, is that a fact? So you know yourself, do you? How come you don't know that you are weak?
Oh! Would you like to—
I have said this before, that a good rule of thumb is to have a bodyguard who is stronger than you. But a bad rule of thumb is not letting your bodyguard do anything. Mr. Popo is incredibly powerful at this stage of the series. He's basically an early Beerus, considering he was stronger than anyone in the original Dragon Ball, with the official power level of 1030. He could have steamrolled through everyone. He could have also assisted against Raditz if you think about it. But I would assume that, similarly to some of the gods, Mr. Popo isn't allowed to interfere. As Mr. Popo was stated in the Daizenshu that he is a deity that came from the other world to be the caretaker of the Temple of Kami. Therefore, Mr. Popo is bound to the sacred temple. Additionally, one could argue that Mr. Popo's power has increased substantially as he was able to block the attack of a Super Saiyan Goten and Trunks. However, it must be noted that this scene is a filler. Yeah, what? You guys really thought that DBZ's about that DBS busted power scaling?
I can tell you're not from this planet, but you'd be a fool to attack me with such an insufficient power.
Now listen.
Okay, I won't lie, there is something disrespectful about putting a Cyberman and Raditz in the same entry. But given the fact that Nappa stated that a single Cyberman is exactly the strength of Raditz, makes it almost funny. However, if we think about it logically, I'd say Raditz holds the edge against a single Cyberman due to him being more intelligent and have more combat experience. Additionally, Raditz would be wearing the Saiyan armor, which would surely give him a slight advantage, especially if a Cyberman would try to blow himself up. Although Raditz has faded quickly into irrelevancy, one can't deny the sheer impact that this character did for the Dragon Ball series. I'm starting to worry that my video is starting to devolve into the most disrespected characters in Dragon Ball. Yamcha is one of those characters who fell so hard from grace and became the butt of jokes and memes all over the Dragon Ball community. A lot of people don't realize that Yamcha is in fact so strong that he could probably solo a lot of other anime verses all by himself. Yamcha performed very well in the Saiyan Saga by defeating an enemy that was said to be on the same level of Raditz, the same opponent that held the two strongest fighters on Earth by himself. In 1 year, Yamcha pushed his power level to 1480. However, his overconfidence was his ultimate demise, as the Cyberman that Yamcha thought he defeated self-destructed and took Yamcha with him.
Take on all 4 of those goons at once! Just like Yamcha was going to do!
I'm not sure what he's planning to do, but I know this much. We don't want to be here when the blast hits!
Krillin has proven himself time and time again in the early days of the show that he could always get stronger and be relevant to some extent, surpassing even the likes of Yamcha and Raditz, having the ability to develop the Destructo Disc, a technique capable of cutting almost anything it touches. Had Vegeta didn't warn Nappa, he would have probably been killed by Krillin.
Just look at him go!
Tien is one of those the streets won't forget characters. He is the Vegeta of the original Dragon Ball series, being a real contender to actually being the strongest fighter on Earth and a true rival to Goku. His obsession and dedication to martial arts made him reach the levels of power that is incomprehensible to the average human. Had Tien were in a different show, he would be treated as a god. With a power level of 1830, Tien was even stronger than Krillin. Although he endured a somewhat gruesome defeat, he still went out on his own terms, leaving his mark on the battlefield.
Die.
Being the second strongest character from the OG Dragon Ball, it is no surprise that Piccolo has always had his place amongst the strongest fighters, and it was always relevant in terms of power. Aside from Goku in the Saiyan Saga, he is the fighter with the most gains. In just 1 year, his power level jumped from 408 to a whopping 3500, well, at least according to the Daizenshu. Although it is hard to believe that he was only 500 units of power weaker than Nappa, but in the early days, a 500 difference was significant, enough to shift the tide of battle from one warrior to another. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think Piccolo was 3500 or perhaps between 3000 and 3200? Which do you think is more accurate?
Alright, that's enough. Who are you?
Hey, are you? No, you couldn't be.
I am who I am. Guess who? Go on, guess.
Although we never see King Kai, His power level was documented in the Daizenshu to be 3500, the exact same as Piccolo. So you might be asking me, why is King Kai higher than Piccolo? Shouldn't I at least do what I did with the Cybermen and Raditz by including them together? Well, the thing is, King Kai holds a huge advantage against Piccolo. Let's not forget, King Kai taught Goku the Kaioken, a technique where the user could multiply his base power, which makes you twice as strong and twice as fast. So at the very least, King Kai would know the first level of Kaioken. He also has the Spirit Bomb and has a lot of fighting experience. And while Piccolo could regenerate, I still don't see that giving him the edge in being stronger, since regenerating takes time and drains a lot of stamina. But let me know what you guys think. Do you agree or disagree?
Don't mention it.
If you're someone who experienced the Saiyan Saga for the first time, you would remember how overwhelming this dude was. He was built different. Nappa was the Broly of the Saiyan Saga. Standing at 6'10", he was intimidating. His first introduction on Earth was him lifting 2 fingers and leveling an entire city. When I watched that shit as a kid, I never seen anything like it. My mind could not comprehend how an entire city could just poof out of existence. In fact, Nappa's so strong he was toying around with Earth's military, tearing through metal and destroying aircrafts effortlessly. And that's all done with a power level of 4000. He completely outclassed all the Z fighters and basically took them all out, with the exception of Krillin and Gohan, who were going to meet their end had Goku was seconds late.
His power level is above 2,000. That can't be. It is.
Right, I got ya!
It is no surprise to anyone that Gohan would rank highly. Being a hybrid Saiyan, Gohan was blessed with hidden powers and immense potential. Even at the age of 4, he held a power level stronger than his uncle, being able to damage him and basically become the catalyst of his defeat. Gohan is very powerful since the beginning. But really, higher than Nappa, I hear you say. Also, you're gonna say, well, MoodZi, since you're referencing data books, surely you should have seen that Gohan's power was around the thousands, and his max power peaked around 2800 in the manga with his Masenko that he fired at Nappa. Well, the thing is, you forgot that Gohan transformed into an Oozaru, meaning his power level would be at the very least 10,000. Gohan was technically the one that actually forced Vegeta to retreat, if you remember, after falling on him and heavily injuring him. So I think Gohan deserves a spot on this ranking list.
What?
Just when Gohan was about to be crushed by Nappa's foot, Goku finally arrives to the battlefield, saving the wounded Gohan and Krillin. He then asserts to both Gohan and Krillin that he will take care of this himself. Goku then shifts his focus back to Nappa, where he powers up, shakes the earth and causes rocks to fly upwards from the ground from his sheer strength alone. This causes Vegeta's counter to spike in numbers, registering a staggering amount of a power level that is over 8,000. In disbelief, Vegeta crushes the scouter in his hands, unable to accept that the lower class Saiyan has a power level that rivals that of the elite. Nappa's demeanor shifts from his usual composure self to a denial state as he attacks Goku in a fit of anger to what the scouter was saying, but he's soon brought back to reality as Goku demonstrates the clear difference in power. Nappa isn't able to touch Goku. Goku walks over Nappa in the fight quite literally, using his devastating Kaioken for the first time on screen to save his allies. This leads the climactic event of the Saiyan Saga, the lower class Saiyan from Earth against Vegeta, the Prince of all Saiyans.
Farewell. You're finished.
The strongest fighter that appeared in the Saiyan Saga is without a doubt Vegeta. While a lot of fans attribute this confrontation to be a win for Goku, it couldn't be further from the truth, as Akira Toriyama brilliantly conveys to us the power level difference and experience in battle. Goku's base power in this confrontation was recorded to be above 8,000, while Vegeta's is around 18,000. Goku had to use the Kaioken to simply keep up with Vegeta, who easily adapted to Goku's movements, being able to dodge, counter, and outpace Goku. In every facet, Vegeta held the advantage. But all of that changed when Goku takes on a massive risk and unleashes a ×3 Kaioken. This not only multiplied his power, but even his muscles got bigger. Goku was radiating with so much heat as his alive body tried to contain the surge of power radiating through his body. Goku having his power multiplied by 3 shifted the tide of battle completely in his favor. Again, a massive attention to detail by Akira Toriyama, who properly conveyed to the viewer the power system he designed. Goku in Kaioken ×3 ragdolls Vegeta around. All the times where Vegeta was countering Goku in the beginning of the fight completely backfired, as Goku's simply faster than Vegeta at this point. However, the Kaioken was detrimental to Goku's physical body, as he immediately feels the aftermath of the technique. On the other hand, Vegeta's too blinded by rage to see how Goku's body was coping. He gets up and in a moment of pure anger, Vegeta declares that his next attack will be targeted into the earth. Should Goku consider dodging, this attack will destroy the entire planet. Vegeta puts his hands together inwards and charges an intense beam of purple color. On the other side, Goku is forced to re-trigger the Kaioken ×3 and charge a Kamehameha in order to protect the planet. He fires it against Vegeta's Gallic gun. This moment gives birth to the iconic beam clash struggle between Goku and Vegeta. Goku was going to lose this tug of war despite his power being amplified by 3 times, since the Gallic gun also increased Vegeta's level of power as he was close to winning against Goku. However, Goku being Goku shatters his limitations and ascends to a Kaioken transform. This sudden burst of power sent Vegeta flying into the air. Goku's left on the ground completely worn out. At this point, Goku pushed his power level to at the very least 32,000 and at max a little less than 36. I want you to remember this detail. Vegeta comes back to the ground and decides he will use his trump card. As he manipulates his own ki and combines it with the atmosphere around him, he is then able to create an artificial moon in his hand. This spherical power ball serves to send Blitzwave signals that the Saiyan body with a tail can absorb and transform itself to an Ozaru. Vegeta explains to Goku that a Saiyan transformed into an Ozaru has his power multiplied by 10, meaning Vegeta at this point is around 180,000. Even if you want to say that Vegeta was too damaged and nowhere near his normal base of power, he would still be higher than Goku's max power of 32 to 36,000. In his Ozaru form, Vegeta stomps Goku quite literally, paralyzing his lower body. At this exact moment, Vegeta has beaten Goku in this fight. The only reason why Vegeta lost is the combined efforts of Gohan, Krillin, Yajirobe, and Goku Spirit Bomb. But even Goku Spirit Bomb didn't actually beat Vegeta. The one technically responsible for making Vegeta flee the fight and hold him to a draw was Gohan, who's transformed into Ozaru. Therefore, Vegeta is the official strongest character from the Saiyan Saga that we visually saw fight. Even Goku himself admitted that if you ever watch the Japanese dub or English dub for Dragon Ball Kai, where Goku says this.
After I finished training with King Kai in Otherworld, I thought I'd gotten as strong as I could possibly get. Then I saw Vegeta fight, and he's so much faster, so much more powerful than me. Things he was capable of, it was overwhelming.
Vegeta is the official winner of the Saiyan Saga and gets the first point of this video series, as he's officially the strongest character from the Saiyan Saga. It is no surprise Vegeta being considered one of the 4 main villains of DBZ. But guys, before you click off, let me know if you like this format, or should I change anything about it? I'm open for any sorts of feedback or suggestions, so please use the comments down below to suggest anything that I can add or improve. But if you really want to help this video series stand out, please give it a like and comment to boost it in the algorithm. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed it, so please like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.